And just we're going to record it in a minute. Okay, so we are now live in on YouTube. Hi, nice to see you, Dee. And we are going to start the webinar. I'm going to press the record button now, and I'm going to share my screen so that we can go forward with today's topic, because it is very interesting for me personally, and I hope for all of you. So I'm just going to press a record to the cloud. And now I'm going to share my screen. And I hope that all of you can now see my screen. And if you are able to see my screen, just put in the chat that everything is okay, that you hear me well, and that we can start the meeting. And today's webinar is how to daily build beyond success reality for generational wealth. Today is 7th of July, 2022. It's 3 p.m. UK time. All of you are from different areas. Dee is from New York. I see Maggie, she's from the UK. Gary is in the moment in Greece. I see Benjamin that he's coming. He's from Africa. So we have people also from India. So there are people from all over the world. And the beautiful thing is that I'm going to give you a new perspective about how actually reality is working and how to create beyond success reality for generational wealth. So I'm going to go in the topic of today's webinar. I'm Alexander Ermenkov, and I'm a ruling reality coach. It is very important for all of us to understand reality, why reality works, and why we need people like me that are actually helping others that don't understand reality, how to interact with it, how to influence it, and how to long-term enjoy reality, because reality is actually part of our life. So I'm going to explain reality with a brief diagram about the 4 quadrants of reality. Long-term, maybe we can define even more quadrants, but basically reality is split into the internal part, everything that is within us, and external part, everything that is outside each of us. And then we have the individual part of reality, everything that is 100% affecting only me, and the collective part of the reality, everything that is affecting all the others. So this is very important to understand it, because based on this, we are going to understand the beyond success reality. In the internal individual is where is our awareness, perception, consciousness, subconsciousness, dreams, visualizations, memory experience, pattern recognition, predictability, projections, intent, attention, focus, identity, desire, passion, urges, will. All of these things are part of the reality, but they are not us. The I amness, the being that is inside of us, the being that nobody has ever seen, even you yourself cannot see yourself, I cannot see myself, all of us are just seeing the expressions of the I am that is inside of us through these 4 quadrants of reality. So this is the quadrant number 1. The quadrant number 2 is actually our body, the expressions of the I through the body, all the energy vibrations, feelings, rhetorics, behaviors, wisdoms, relationships, health and vitality, biochemical and physical body functionality, state of being, alignment, coherence, faith, love, authenticity, attitudes, everything that we are expressing through our body is what is actually the quadrant number 2. In the quadrant number 3, it's part of the internal, but then it is collective. It is still invisible. Nobody can answer why we have exactly so many religions, why we have exactly so many beliefs, why the beliefs are just as they are, and they are not 100% different. We have a lot of worldview, science, law, order, value, culture, language, knowledge, concepts, theories, all these invisible things that are helping us in the 21st centuries to understand each other and now to communicate without necessity to explain every wording, every label that we are using. So the fourth quadrant of reality, the external collective, this is where the nature, the universe, the cosmos, the construct, the physical matter reality, everything that we are experiencing with the five senses data stream, everything that the human being has ever created, all the civilization, industrialization, and technology, all of this is in the quadrant number 4. And the beautiful thing about quadrant 4 is that there is the generational wealth, there are the money, there are the assets, there is everything in the quadrant number 4, the external collective. And Beyond Success Reality is going to speak about the interaction of the I am, the invisible one that is inside of us, and its expression in quadrant number 4, the external collective, and why it's important to understand wealth and wealth creation from the perspective of the Beyond Success Reality. Now I have a good quick question for you, and it is very interesting for me if you are able to interact, because long term I can answer specific questions and we can be in communication and make it much more interactive. So do you think that these 4 quadrants of reality are actually subject to influence from the outside and from the inside? You can put in the chat what is your opinion, and if possible to be active in the chat, it is going to be very good. I see all of you that are coming from Florida, Texas. You all can hear me well, so you can put in the chat if you think that reality and the 4 quadrants are subject to influence, because if you put yes, there are going to be much more harder questions coming for you in today's seminar. And the big question for me now is, show me the money. In quadrant number 4, we, the human beings, have created one indicator called money, through which we can very well indicate each of us from these more than 8 or 9 billion people exactly in each moment. Every moment we are tracking through the money system how much every one of us is owning in this quadrant number 4. And you understand long term that this is important, because this correlation with all the quadrants is very interesting. So you need to answer for yourself. I'm daily answering for myself these questions. What do I own, and why I own exactly as much as I own, and why don't I own more or less? Can I live with owning more or less? From the perspective of the I am, the limitless being that we are, the ownership doesn't matter. But from the perspective of the interaction with the 4 quadrants of reality, it is important for all of us to know in which quadrant of reality we are influencing, how much and why. So to go into the specific, this is me. What do you own, Alex? You can ask me this question. So I own more than 10 houses in different locations around the world. I have a sport car, I have other cars, I have luxury cars, I have old cars, I have a boat, which I'm using maybe 10 days per year. I have a motorhome for my family. I have a lot of things that me and my wife are actually owning, or as a physical persons, or are using them through the companies which are having these vehicles or something else. But basically we are using a lot of our physical persons for owning things. And this is my perspective for 2030. In 2030, in the quadrant number 4, I have put the intention of having 100 houses, have several companies, and have monthly cash flow from rental income of more than $200,000+. You are going to ask me, Alex, what are you going to do with so much money every month? Well, this is the excess question we are going to answer later, but first let's understand the big question, why reality is constructed in such a way that if you understand that reality is programmable, that we are programmable, but also we can program our reality, and basically we are doing it through using intent. And if we are using our intent, we are influencing the quadrant 4 of reality. Also, this webinar about how to daily build beyond success reality is for those of us who are having definite chief aims and are daring to express it daily in our quadrant number 4. Those of us that are seeing the probable and enjoy owning in excess. Now, let me tell you about my logo, because it is important in order to position you, to position myself as the being that we are created to be. We are limitless inside of us. Our invisible part that is beyond our thinking, awareness, everything that is in our essence inside of us is 100% limitless, and there are no limitations there. Of course, in the thought processes, in the conscious, in the subconscious, there are feelings of the limitations, but in our core, we are limitless beings. And also in all the 4 quadrants, we are experiencing limitation. But the thing is that this is good, because a limitless being that is experiencing limitation is actually understanding and working in interaction with life, and there is a purpose why there are these limitations in our surrounding. Also, we are interconnected with the above and with the below, and I have put that we need to understand how to actually rule our reality in all the 4 quadrants, and basically this should be all our ultimate positioning in every area and aspect of life when we are doing whatever we are doing. Now, I have a good, quick question for you. Is it true that the 4 quadrants of reality, in all of them, the outer world, the visible world, is following the inner world, that everything in the 4 quadrants of reality is expecting the ruler, the I am that all of us have inside of us, to actually influence reality? You can put this in the chat also, and I'm going to give you the 3 reasons why we are influencing our excess in quadrant number 4. I'm going to explain further what is excess, why excess is good to be there, and so on. But you need to understand that reality is programmable, and we need to use intent in order to build excess. Excess is not coming to those who are not willing to have excess. If you are not willing to have more, and you don't understand why you need to have more, you're not going to have such an experience, because reality is always a feedback of who you are expressing in the moment. So reality is custom made. It is never vague. When you look around, everything is specific, and we need to learn how to influence daily and to go into custom made influencing of reality. And we can fix how much we want and how much we dare to express on a daily level. And reality is a world of probability. So it's better we ourselves to decide what ownership we are fixing for us in the quadrant number 4 of reality, instead of waiting for one day owning nothing and being happily fixed from the outside. So I give you quick result disclaimers. You don't need to be more human in order to enjoy wealth creation. There are a lot of people that are rich, and if the most clever people on this planet were the people that has the biggest wealth, then all the university professors were going to be the richest people in the planet. But basically it is not so. And also for this webinar, it's important that you don't need to be 100% success, and it is not required in order to build wealth. As you know from everything that I've exposed till now, the most important thing is to understand how the flow of lives are working, and then access success and wealth is going to work with you, and you are going to create excesses in your life, but it is going to be in the right way. And I mean, you are going to position yourself as the ruler even of your success, excess, and wealth. And also, ruling reality will not make you attached to what you own. This is a big paradox. As more as I'm owning, actually more and more I'm detached from everything in the physical matter reality, and I'm more and more interested in everything that is beyond success, beyond ownership. And you are going now to see some of my examples. But first, let me tell you what are the 2 or the 3 basic things that we need to understand if we put our life in a glimpse. If we put our life in a glimpse, we have to answer the questions. Why in nature excess is common? You can look all around. There is so much grass. There are so much leaves on every tree. When we look in nature, we cannot see that there is a specific lack in any area. Well, then why, Alex, scarcity and lack are present? We can see it all around us. Why the construct of reality is created like this? Well, let me give you the answer right now. It is because the limitless being that we are inside of us, when we see the limitations of reality, when we see scarcity and lack, then we trigger the innovation that is going to long-term create a flow that is going to transform the scarcity and lack into something beautiful. And we as human beings have been doing it for centuries. And let me now just give you the balance about all these 3 topics, because if we don't answer these 3 topics, we can not answer anything more. So scarcity is balanced with multiplication. But Alex, I thought that we need to balance scarcity with more competition. We need to balance scarcity with more wars for dominion. We need to balance scarcity with living more and more into survival mode. No, we can balance scarcity with more innovation, with more going into multiplication. Well, how are we going to balance this excess that you're speaking about? Well, we can balance the excess in our life, in our society, with more share and giving. Only when you have excess, only then you can go into a state of sharing and giving, and in the quadrant number 4, to create more value that can be shared and exchanged. The beautiful thing about excess is that every one of us have a specific abilities to create excess in different areas of life. It's not necessary the excess to be only in quadrant number 4. You can have special abilities to create excess of knowledge in a specific area of life. Then you are becoming some kind of coach, and people like me with excess in other areas of life are going to exchange this value with your value. So excess is a normal part, and it is balanced only once we understand that we need to start living for something beyond us and beyond consuming. There are 2 probabilities: or we are only consuming life, or we are beings that are life givers. So how we balance then, Alex, equality? We are from the different parts of the world right now, and I know that all the planet, we want to be equal. The problem with equality is that it doesn't exist in nature. If you look into a forest, if you look into a meadow, or wherever you look, you will not see equality. But what we see is diversity. So we are balancing equality with diversity. It is not possible all the 8 billion people in the moment to be equally poor or to be equally wealthy. But for sure, if each of us is willing to express what are our personal possibilities in the moment, we are going to have much more diversity. And if we take ownership, if we are able to create access and later on to share it and to create values for others, we are helping these diversity processes. So equality is not the solution. scarcity is balanced with multiplication, and this is my 3 things which we need to answer as fundamentals in order to go stronger and long-term into this passion for creating influence in quadrant number 4. Now, these are my personal probabilities for 2030 to have put into the quadrant number 4 an influence of 100 houses portfolio, to have a 3x scale of my companies, and to create a movement of people who are reality masters. And this is mostly influencing quadrant number 3, but this is how I would like to work through and in my interacting when my being is interacting in quadrant number 3. This is what I'm trying to create, something unique, something authentic. And this is the reason why I'm not using the word wealth, abundance, but I'm using the word excess, because it is triggering things in our life. So now let me give you the 2 very important flows of reality, and you are now going to see why people are conditioned the way they are conditioned. There are generalists and there are specialists. The last 30 years, more of the society is put into specialization, compartmentalization, and fragmentation on purpose. But then we are losing the generalist's view. And let me give you the example. Excess is available for all. It is very general. But what is in nature is to be in the human society. It is also very general, but it is also very natural to be so. So then we need to go into the general view and be inspired by what is possible in the universe and to be willing to replicate it. But then, Alex, what about the specialist view? No, Alex, it is not possible for me. I'm special case. You don't understand my human life, my human being. It's so much different than the wealthy people. I'm created in another way. With me, it's much more different, and so on. So this specialist thinking is giving us a lot of limitation and is giving us a lot of thinking into this direction. What is around me is determining me. My surrounding is special. Yes, every one of us have a special surrounding, but it's our choice if we are willing to influence our reality and later on change it and influence it even more, or we are going to be determined with what we already have in our surrounding. It doesn't matter what is our level. And then we can go into the specialist move and say, comply with what already is in my reality and accept it. Yes, we can accept everything that we have in the moment. It is okay, but to comply is a choice. You can comply or you can be inspired from what is possible and start influencing reality. This is what is the idea with the Beyond Success reality. Now, another quick question. What is the number 1 takeaway you are looking for from today's webinar? You can put it in the chat if you want, and I will give you the 2 options. You can or stay poor, or you need to dare to manage excess. What I mean here by poor, you can have $1 million US and still be poor if you are using everything that you have only for yourself and you are not actually willing long-term to become manager of excess. If you are thinking, well, let me see how much I need for myself during this life, then you are actually in an egocentric mode where you don't understand excess and why you need to learn, manage it for the benefit of all. So it is a good question for all of us to answer long-term. So who is this webinar for? It is for people that are daring to pursue the impossible in reality by influencing, creating, shifting, achieving, succeeding, interacting, and impacting. My goal for this webinar is very simple. I want all of us to ultimately position ourselves as limitless beings that are enjoying, that they are experiencing reality limitations, but are willing to express what we want. And also, we're learning to master reality, and that it is existential for us to interact efficiently and to create lasting impacts while leaving generational wealth and accumulation in quadrant number 4 of reality. I know a lot of people, if they don't have children or if they don't want to go into wealth accumulation, generational wealth, and so on, they don't understand why you need to do it. But there are people who are doing it because they understand, and later on you can create foundations that are going to influence quadrant number 4 long after me or you are gone. So another question for you: what, in your opinion, is the purpose of life? Why I want first to go to these fundamentals, because before we go into the specific of the wealth creation, because all of this is important. The fundamentals of reality are the place from where everything is influenced, and then you are really able to create flows in whichever directions you want. So one of the purposes of life is to experience it and to gather awareness, but only this part of life is not enough, because there you are only consuming life. Everything is about you. But if you also learn to use the consciousness to impact reality and to live our legacy and to live your legacy here on this planet, and also to create generating, to learn to generate and create generational wealth. Actually, after we are leaving this planet, there is an expression of us in quadrant number 4 that is going to stay for all the other human beings, even after we are gone. So why I'm qualified to speak about this topic, ruling reality and beyond success, wealth, and creation, because of my personal story. So I have transformed my body relationship. This is my interaction with quadrant number 2. I have transformed my inner life in a lot of areas. This is the quadrant number 1. And I'm dedicating also to help others to become success. This is how I'm interacting in quadrant number 3. And now this is my personal story till the moment how I'm interacting with quadrant number 4. And of course, because I'm married, in quadrant number 4, my interaction is always in agreement with my wife. And she's also present in this webinar. And she's also accountant, so she's verifying a lot of the statements that I'm making. But actually, in 2022, my equity in real estate is worth more than 2 million, and we have together equity in lands for more than 1 million. Why I'm telling you this? I'm telling you just to see how the I amness is working in the interaction with quadrant number 4. In your story, it can be different, but it doesn't matter. We are the same human beings. It doesn't matter if you work with hundreds of euro, thousands of dollars, or millions of dollars. It's the same interactions all the time. So I have company ownership, which is worth more than 15 million US dollars in the moment. And ruling reality makes me enthusiastic that actually I feel and see how the reality is subject to influence in all of its 4 quadrants. And I'm going to go deep dive into this, but first you need to understand that if we are struggling with boredom because we have achieved it all, because as you see, I have a lot of achievement, and I can retire right now, right this moment, and not care at all for all the rest of the world and not be interested in anything else. But I have decided to go beyond everything that is visible and to see other opportunities for growth of the human being. So if you have been struggling with boredom because you have achieved it all, maybe you have not found the reason why life is magical and entertaining. Because life is really joyful and there is such an enjoyment into living, but we need to learn to master all these interactions with the 4 quadrants. If you have been the other way, too busy to succeed and ready to even miss life, Then it's the opposite. Well, Alex, I just want the millions. I just want to create something in quadrant number 4. Yes, but if it's at the expense of everything which is beyond life creation, then again, maybe you are just retranslating and not genuinely generating an interaction influencing the quadrant number 4. By retranslating, I mean when we're just doing what everybody else is doing and not thinking why we are actually willing to move into this direction, or are rejecting and didn't want to go into excess creation. So learn how reality works the hard way. Why excess is not happening to me, some of us can ask. If I could change what is in the moment, Alex, in my reality, maybe I'm going to think about it. My past was not fair. I was born in India. I was born in Africa. I was born in the United States. I was born in different places. So my past was not helping me, and it's not giving me this possibility that you, Alex, are having. If I could order right now a different future, the beautiful news is that different future is always available every moment of life. So now I'm going to speak about my 3 obvious musts that we need to have and to manage in order to build beyond success reality. So first, we need to learn to stop fighting excess, and I'm going to show you later in my life how I have stopped fighting excess. We need to learn how to generate what we want, to be very specific, and also to trust the processes and learn to do our part. Now, a quick question for you. What, in your opinion, is the most difficult of the given 3? To stop fighting excess, to allow excess to happen, to want excess, or to trust the excess processes? I didn't know, but you are going to see now from the story of my life how much actually I was not fighting excess and was allowing it. And this is why excess is something like it is normal for me. I even don't like to speak about it because I thought that this is something that everybody can do, or there are some people that are hiding their excess and their success and not willing to share what they have and how they have. But according to me, everything is so general and so easy for all of us to go into. Just we need to be tuned in the right way. So reality cannot be changed, only influence. Excess is not built for one day. At least in my reality, it is so. I hope in more of your realities is also the same. So it is very important. Also, reality is perfect as it is from the perspective of all in the moment. Even if you in the moment you have only $500, it is okay in this moment in your reality. This $500 is what you are expressing in quadrant number 4. Yes, but Alex, I want to express tomorrow 1 million. No, first you need to learn the processes, to go step by step, and to daily build your beyond success reality. So I don't like what I have. If you are complaining, or if you are not okay with what you have in the moment, learn to influence success. Oh, the reality limitations, once we experience them, they can inspire us to go beyond, to go into the impossible, and to move forward into interaction with reality. So once you change regarding excess, then reality starts shifting, because you have created this balance. You cannot change reality, only yourself. Reality shifts appear gradually. So I will give you now a little bit about my success story, how I personally have stopped fighting excess with my wife, and how really excess is coming into our reality. We had our first real estate in 2002. It was an apartment for $70,000. It grew to value of $30,000. And in 2003, when we were pregnant and we were going to have our first baby, we actually decided to sell this property and to buy a land, which today costs $200,000. So instead of fighting excess and saying, well, we are going just to have one apartment, just going to have our baby, so we could stay there and still till today stay in this 30 or today maybe $50,000 apartment and stop there. This was one option, but we decided to do the impossible. We decided to suffer if it's necessary short term, but long term to go into something more. We took our first loan in 2005 for $75,000. We had built in 2011 a house that was fully paid for $500,000. If you ask Alex from the 2002, did he know that he is going to have in 2011 $500,000? It was something unimaginable for me. When we took our loan, I was thinking that the next 20 years, the only thing I was going to do is to actually pay this loan. But long term, also from 2011 to 2019, we upgraded this house. We made it much more bigger, and now it costs 1.6 million US dollars. But we didn't stop. We could stop here at $500,000, but we decided to not stop fighting excess, and long term, the value is going to come. So we continued in this direction. Then from 2015 to 2019, we bought 5 houses in Greece. And again, we didn't stop fighting excess. First, we bought one house. Then we started inviting relatives to share what we had and so on and so on. Then all the people around us in Greece told us, well, actually, Alex, you are giving your house for renters. You have so many renters. And I was just explaining to them, these are not renters. These are my families. These are my friends. They says, yes, yes. And so we actually realized that there is a possibility for a renting business. So we bought 4 more houses in the next years. And now all these houses are worth another 1.3 million US dollars, but we didn't stop fighting excess. We just allowed excess to happen. And then the only problem we needed to learn is how to actually create this excess to be of a value for all the others around us. When we co-founded our company Pharmacons, I had not more than $10,000, and I left $5,000 job in order to create this company with my colleague. And then today, this share of my company is worth $15,000. So instead of staying in my job and being comfortable and happy and being in my small apartment and living a happy life and consuming as much as it is enough for me, today I own so much more, and a lot of people are enjoying the value that I have created and am owning with my wife. So, but Alex, is this enough? Now it's enough. You have done it all. So what else do you need in your life? Well, let me share you now my success dream for 2030 and how I'm interacting in quadrant number 4. I am dreaming for 12 more houses in premium locations in Sofia, Bulgaria that are going to be worth more than 6 million in 2025, and 2 houses in Dominican Republic. They're under construction now, and till 2024, we are going to have them for another 1 million. More of these houses are actually for renting, and I'm now creating all my vision about all these people that are renting our properties, what experiences they are having there. Some of them are raising their children in these properties, more of their conscious life. They're living there, they enjoy them. So they're very happy renters that are living in our houses, and 86 more houses are going to appear before 2030, costing more than 25 million more dollars. And of course, this is the big vision for 2040, my ownership to be more than 1 billion US dollars. And just to tell you briefly, maybe last year I created a billionaire mindset identity inside of me because I asked one simple question: Alex, if you are such a ruling reality coach, what is the number one thing that is 100% impossible for you? You know that the true limitation of your country, you can never achieve it. So this is one of the things I dreamed about, that I said, well, for sure, it's not possible a billionaire to happen from Bulgaria. You can say maybe from Africa or from other continents. And then I just started to change my mindset. And now I'm an undercover billionaire. So everything I'm doing today, I'm doing steps by steps, daily influencing into my 2030 and 2040 reality. So this is, if you have understand something from my life about stop fighting excess, it is going to be really great, because once you start working it with excess, then you will learn why excess exists and how it is able to manage it long term for the benefit of all the people around you. What about generating what you want, Alex? Now I'm going to give you another quick question. Have you ever generated something that you wanted in life but didn't know that you actually influenced it directly? You can put in the chat if there are such possibilities. And also, long term, it is very easy to say yes for small things, but it is so much magical and interesting when we are able to learn how to generate big things. Yes, it takes more time, it takes more efforts, but it is really interesting to know how to do it. So the thing about generating reality is that we sometimes say to ourselves, I knew it, excess is not for me. Only things I do not want happen to me, or why I'm never in control. But we need to learn now the basics and the fundamentals of generating reality. For me personally, all of us as human beings are generators of reality, and we experience common holographic objective reality. But let's see now. We experience what we have generated before. In the moment I'm in my house in this webinar, because everything I have generated through intent 3 weeks ago, how I'm going to have this webinar, you are experiencing in the moment with me this webinar because you dared and decided to participate into it. And it is with everything in the daily reality. So today, the only thing we can do is to generate what we will experience tomorrow, the day after tomorrow, the next year, the next 10 years. The first time when I saw this, I was in India. I know that there are people from India here now. When I was in big factories that costed more than 200 million, and they were explaining me, Alex, we're building these factories for the next 20, the next 30 years. I didn't know that there are people around the world and there are industries around the world that are thinking 20, 30 years ahead and are planning and are today making the investments about what the reality will be in 20, 30 years. I didn't know even that this was possible. We decide what we want to experience through our intent. We as human beings need to learn how to work with this, and this is part of the ruling reality program that I have and the mastery of the ruling of the reality. So we are programmable and can program what we generate. Our potential is limitless. Our choices, what limitation actually to experience. We co-generate unique realities, each one of us, and experience a common holographic objective reality. So because of this, we are to be held accountable about all we generate, because it impacts all, even if we are only retranslating, or even if all of us think, well, Alex, I'm thinking only about me. Even if I generate something, it affects only me. The reality is that everything that we do with what we have as human beings, since there is limitless potential inside of me, since there is limitless potential in you, all of us are going to be accountable how and what we are doing with our abilities and by daily generating our realities. This is my friend Ben from Ghana. He is here or in the moment or was here. Let me check. Yeah, he's still in the call because of the what is in his country. The internet is not so good. So I was acquainted with him in 2021. And he was really interested to work with me and to help him with whatever I had. And then his big dream was for one day to have $5,000, and his income was $500 per month. So it doesn't matter where you are, you can always generate your beyond success reality, and you can start from a place forward. And this year in March, he wrote me that now he's in collaboration with some people for 20 million plus dollars investment. Yes, it's still not rock solid, it still didn't happen, and many of us are thinking that reality is always rock solid and we cannot do anything about it. But we can influence it daily, and that's why we can create 100% different reality for all of us. So this is regarding generating what you want. And now the most important part that we actually do, because we as people think that to generate, this is the big power of the human being, but actually the big power is to learn to trust the processes. Now you're going to learn why. The obvious number 3, trust the processes and do only your part. So create tools to escape the outer limitations. This is what we as people are doing when we feel the scarcity, when we see the limitations. We are the only creatures that are able to create additional tools through which to escape the limitations. That's why today all of us can fly, all of us, I suppose, have experienced flying or are going to experience it. So also we are able to master the existing processes. In the moment we can make energy by splitting the atom. Also, we only sow the seed and observe the process of growth, do the work. We as human beings are only using the processes, but everything else is created outside of our abilities. It is very important because it's in every area of life. If some person tells you that he has become rich because of himself and he is very wealthy because of only who he is, it is not possible without a lot of processes that are additional and that need to be mastered and trusted. So now I'm going to deep dive into these processes. Wealth is created only by assets. It is very painful because I thought, maybe a lot of you were thinking, when I left my $5,000 job per month, then I realized that actually to have an asset is much more than having an income. The income is coming into your life still because of the biggest asset that all of us have, and this is ourselves, this limitless being that is inside of each us. This is the first asset, but with this first asset, we can create income, but then because of this income, it is created a reality in such a way that only through income long-term you cannot generate a lot of excess. So acquire assets long-term and let them do the job. You saw from my story that all the assets that we are acquiring with my wife are actually doing the wealth creation job for us. It is not something that I'm doing on a daily basis and so on and so on. It is very important now for all of us that are in the personal development. Think and grow. Rich happens only in our head. But after this, you need to create alignment and generate flows into reality. It is not enough just to stay in the quadrant number 1 of reality. Alex, I'm going to start this mindset game. Now I'm going to train my mind. It is okay for a first step. Then you need to align the heart and the mind. Long term, you need to include the guts. And long-term, you need to include the care. What do you care about in reality is what is going to create this flow. What we observe with our 5 senses are only the effects of the invisible but constant processes we call laws. And there are no quick and easy processes in nature. Complex and constant interaction is what a process is the same in wealth creation, is the same in every area of life. If you think that everything is simple, and I now have started to create one program you're going to understand about, but you are going to see there are so many things in life. Is so complex in a sense, but because it is not our part, we are just trusting these processes. That's why the only simple thing we need to do is just to do our daily, simple, small daily job of interacting with reality. Then everything else is going to be long-term aligned when we are in our ultimate strategic positioning. So now let me give you some success stories. At least this is how I'm doing it in my own life. I use a lot of fiat currency debt. Because of the inflation, a lot of people say, no, Alex, go into gold, go into Bitcoin. But actually, because of the debt createdness in the moment, in the reality, if you are learning how to use debt for your advantage, then inflation is helping you to long-term decrease all this debt and also your assets to appreciate in value. But these are a lot of specifics. But one interesting thing I'm doing for a lot of years, first it was subconsciously, but now I'm more conscious about what I'm doing because now I understand better reality. I always park my free money into assets before I even have the money. Now, for example, in 2020, me and my wife during COVID decided, well, let's see what we are going to do. Maybe we should buy something new. We can, because there was disturbances, everybody was thinking about nature. Nobody wanted to live close in our home. So we decided to go and see if there is possible to long-term buy some nature, buy some land, and maybe build something where there is nature. And we didn't have any money in this moment, but we started with our mind to park our future income into assets in the moment. So for 3 to 4 to 5 months, we were going around, we found some assets, then we went to the bank, took the debt money. We even didn't know that we are going to use debt, but long-term, I decided it's important for long-term, for wealth creation, because I told you I created a billionaire mindset, and it's not possible to work with wealth from one point above if you don't grasp this depth, how to be used. And also proper taxations creates up to 50% more value. I know that this is a lot of fight, and I like the gratitude. When I'm paying my taxes, I'm always thankful to the society. I never pay a tax and saying, well, why I paid so much. I always pay with happiness my taxes, but of course I'm doing it because I am learning long-term how to properly tax myself in order to save as much as possible of the taxation. And then what is left, even if it's still a lot of money, because my taxes are more than 50,000 US dollars and even more per year. But when I'm taxed, I know that everything I'm owning, it is freedom then. And when you know how to work with taxation in the right way, and that's why all of us are arguing with the big multinational companies, why they are not taxed so well, why they're evading taxes all the time. But anyhow, much more of the money that are left with you as an excess, then you are the one responsible how to manage the excess. Otherwise, you can be poorly taxed. You can pay hundreds of dollars and millions of dollars of taxes, and still, who is going to then manage this excess? All of us know how much the governments are not doing the job as it should be done according to all of us. Also, I'm constantly working with measurement. And when you know exactly in the moment how much you have, you need to learn how to detach from your current reality and to learn to outgrow, to transcend what is in the moment through 10x, 100x multiplication processes. in order. You saw with myself, now it's 2022, you saw my example with 2030, you saw my example with 2040. It's so much more different ways of learning how to measure what is, but when you know that long term you can influence it, then it's easy to own but not be owned. It is very important to learn, and this is part of the ruling your own reality, how to own, to manage, but to know that you, the limitless being, can never be owned. And also, this is very important to learn to put your attention to the only source of all creation. You need to learn how to actually know the most valuable thing in life, and this is the creator of all of the existence. So now I have another good quick question for you. Have you ever trusted a process and something that you wanted in life changed for you? You can answer this question, and also you can see again the recap. This is the first part where I have explained what I'm meaning by stop fighting excess, generate what you want, and learn to trust the processes. And then, of course, a lot of knowledge is in YouTube, in internet. You can go to a lot of different courses in a lot of different areas of life, but I want to give you the beyond success mindset and the fundamentals. After this, all these details are very easily manageable. So this is a new way that I'm offering. Reality is subject to influence. Beyond success reality is when the reality construct and excess and scarcity is understood, when you understand how to generate wealth and abundance, when you understand the processes of beyond success wealth, and when you understand why observation, measurement, and feedback of reality are important, you know the 4 quadrants when you are influencing them. Who thinks beyond success reality is actually existential and awesome? Who of you thinks, you can put it in the chat, who of you think that actually it is okay to create excess, to manage excess, and long-term to create value also in quadrant number 4? You can put it also in the chat, and I'm now going to give you a brief summary of what is the Beyond Success Reality program that I have created. I'm still developing it, and you are able to experience it together with me in your personal reality. So what you are going to get if you are willing to long-term work with me, it is a real life experience of daily influencing beyond success reality. First, because this is my passion and I'm doing it with myself, I'm going to give you my perspective, but also you are going to extract for yourself through your experiences, your own perspective about your own reality. You are going to also understand what is the meaning of fresh start, of interacting in the limitations of reality through constantly generating. Also, you are going to learn to master beyond success reality shifts and to measure the influence upon your beyond success reality, to be able to be okay to see what is happening in quadrant 4, to understand why it's happening, and to not be afraid and not to ignore reality, but actually to enjoy that there is feedback from reality, because it is going to help you to long-term interact with it. You are going to get 28 videos from me, which are done for each of the days of the week on a specific topic. You are going to have a Zoom calls with me. You are going to have a sharing calls together, and you are going to use my created Beyond Success reality tracker. Also, I'm going to give you now some program specifics. In week 1, we are going to explore the 4 quadrants in deepness, the source of excess, the ultimate strategic positioning, the value of who we are, the 2 invisible assets, the interconnection of wealth, and the wealth flows. Also, in week 2, we are going to speak about money is a limitator indicator of the current. You need to understand what money is, because if you have money in the bank, What do you have? It is only an indicator about a probability that one day you are going to spend this money into reality. But while you are waiting and you have your money in your bank account, people like Alex, who understand beyond success reality, are taking this money and are actually using them daily into the reality interaction of quadrant number 4. That's why you need to understand what is the meaning of value, where and how do we store the value, what are the assets, and that they are the wealth generators, owning assets, stewardship of assets, wealth, enjoyment, and consumption. Because I have went through this process of where I was thinking that if I own something, and especially if I own something beautiful, then I need to be in guilt because you or somebody else don't have. You need to learn how to enjoy wealth, how to have consumption, but also to enjoy giving away your value. And if I tell you today that actually I'm not consuming more than I was consuming 20 years ago, it is still the same. My personal inner being is not a bigger and greater consumer than it was 20 years ago. It is the same being. The limitless being is always the same. The only thing that is changed is that now I'm more conscious about managing everything that is around me. Wealth and abundance actually is a paradox, but it creates selfless beings. You can say, well, Alex, I see totally the opposite way. I see when people are rich, they become more selfish. They don't want to reach the people in the bottom. They become like a different society. They don't want to merge with us. Yes, because they didn't understand the beyond success reality, that there is nothing in the wealth and abundance. The interesting thing is how to be and to become value. Then you'll never be afraid if tomorrow you own nothing, you are the same limitless being. If tomorrow you own the whole world, the only difference is that now you are a limitless being, but with all the responsibilities in reality. So in week 3, we are going to speak about processes, the fundamentals of multiplication, the hyper ability of collaboration, the common and greater good, nature and society balance, fruitfulness state, the process of growth, transmutation of material into non-material assets, and vice versa. This is also a very interesting topic that I'm long-term working with. And in week 4, we are going to understand observation, measurement, feedback, and KPI to learn how to objectively observe your reality in quadrant number 4, to learn to measure the unmeasurable, to work, to learn to measure processes that is impossible to be measured, but you need to learn how to work with the gap and the gain and so on, the key performance indicators, the feedbacks versus delusion, how to enjoy and embrace reality and not ignoring it, the wealth creation tools, types of assets, and to long-term become a wealth creation example. This is going to be the result of this program. So if within 30 days you learn the processes are more important than the effect, learn how is always unfolding, processes are showing the way and begin ruling your beyond success reality. And this is the program promise, and this is who am I. I'm the first client of all my programs, and I'm actually daily using my programs that I have created because it is part of my daily life anyhow. So who does this program work for? This is only for those of us who want the impossible, those of us who want actual reality shifts, and those who are really daring to interact with reality. And when you interact with reality, it is very interesting because you need to actually express your authentic being. So we have a lot of worries. If you need to deepen your experience, you can interact with me. If you need help with some step-by-step conversations with me, it will going to be included in the course. if all the program did was to help you start shifting your reality in the wealth creation, would it be worth it for you? You can answer this question for yourself. And what is it going to be worth specifically for you if you are able to do this on a daily base? And now these are the prices for my new program. It is $500 for a 1 month interaction with the videos and also 6 Zoom calls with me. And from 2023, it is going to cost $1,000 because I'm putting more and more value into this program. And I want to make it as affordable as possible. A lot of people are advising me to make much more expensive programs, but I want to actually work with different type of people. And for me, as you have understand, money are not a problem. For me, it's more important to create value and to generate something that is going to help people around me and humanity. So that's why I have created some fast action bonuses. If you finish this program with me, you are going to earn a $1,000 voucher for 1 6-month EMF program if you decide later on to continue with Elite Mentorship Forum program. It's a 6-month, I have called it a boot camp that is helping you to transcend and to outgrow all the limitations that you can have in the different areas of life. I have done twice this program and it is very amazing and have a very good results. And also you're going to have a call with me, but there is additional thing. If you take the bundle of the 2 programs, Ruling Reality Basic Program and Beyond Success Reality Program, I'm going to give you the 2 of the programs for $1,000. And it is still going to be free for you because you are going to have long-term this voucher for the Elite Mentorship Forum program. This is a program created by Peter Sage, and long-term you can ask me about this also. And this is a really 6-month boot camp. There are some of us that have been through this program, even into disco, and they know that this program is amazing. So think about where would you be in the next 30 days from now. You can go into my page immediately, or you can chat with me long-term or later if you want. And there is a payment process there, and it is possible to pay this program whenever you decide with a bank card, or we can do it with PayPal or other options. And if you have questions, you can ask me. And you can book a call with me on Calendly, or you can WhatsApp me, you can go into Instagram or Facebook, or you can connect with me in any other ways. So I'm going now to stop the program so that we can see each other. And if somebody of you wants to ask me any questions, and then we are going to wrap it up. I wanted to do it for up to an hour because I really wanted you to experience this knowledge. Otherwise, we can speak for hours in these topics. So if somebody wants to ask me some questions, just feel free to unmute yourself and you can ask me anything. And if you think that I can also stop the recording and just stop the live stream if you don't want to just, or you can just speak without anyhow, just if you don't want to be in the online space, it is still okay. Or even if you put in the chat questions, it is still okay.